Hey guys, thanks so much for waiting for this video. This is your contact staff recap for the conveyor belt class. I started off talking about how important it was to be aware of the center point. We want to make sure that we're holding the staff off center. I could see the center point right here, and I like to start down the staff behind my arm right here, not in front. That's really awkward, right? We got to have it in back because it will allow us to move a lot swifter. So from here, if I have my arm nice and level and bent right here, I have my hand close to my neck. This is level and bent, and the elbow is jutting out forward. I'm going to bring the staff underneath my arm. I make contact with my hand and my arm, and I can see the center point. I want that center point to wrap nice and clean off of my arm, and then I'll just let it fall without releasing this folded arm, right? So if you're having a hard time, just that first part, just get used to letting the staff fall if you are prematurely bringing the arm out, okay? Just go back to that drill. Wrap over the folded arm. After this nice position we've got here, we did that snake straight out, right? We went elbow, hand goes straight out. And if we're playing our cards right, our center point's right here, I bring the staff up to wrap over my elbow, and then as the staff's vertical and about to fall off my arm, I snake my hand right out, and the center point wraps very cleanly over my hand. Elbow, hand. If your arm is going out to the side, it might be because you're going a little too slow. So really make sure that you get enough momentum here to send it over, okay? Elbow, hand. Third step, we went elbow, hand, hand. It's always that moment when the staff is right about to fall off the elbow, right about to fall off the hand, when we stick that other extremity in there to catch the fall. So it goes elbow, it's about to fall off, that hand sticks out, and then right here, when it's about vertical, it's about to stick out, that other hand, we put it on the other side of the staff, and that center point rolls right on the top of the hand. Elbow, hand, hand, right? For that last part, the fourth section with that the second elbow, again, we want to make sure that we are, with that second hand, getting enough momentum here that it'll carry over this arm. That hand scoops and comes right back to our neck. We want to get it right there so that we don't place it, our arm up. We want to scoop back, and we're jutting that elbow out front. I was talking about elbowing your way through a crowd, right? We go elbow, hand, hand, elbow. You see I pick up the speed a little bit on that second side just to make sure that I really have enough power in that rotation on the second side. Elbow, hand, hand, elbow. So something that may be helpful is just maybe, with your left hand, I've got the staff right here and I'm helping push it over my right hand and bring that hand back. Scooping it back from the side. This is a very planar move, right? It's happening on our front wall plane, so I really want to make sure that it's nice and flat. Even when I bring it from the side here, I go elbow, elbow. It's pretty straight. It's not too bendy. That's our goal at the very least, is to get it nice and straight. Nice on our wall plane. If you want to do your conveyor belts continuously, you can always go elbow, hand, hand, elbow, hand, hand, elbow, hand, hand, elbow, hand, hand. To do our conveyor belts continuously and drill both sides, we played with a little drill where we pivoted 180 degrees. Now I have the staff in my right hand. I'm going to go elbow, hand, hand, elbow. I catch with my left immediately. It's right there. My thumb is pointed at the center point. But the staff could keep going. The staff wants to keep drawing this big circle and pull me around 180 degrees behind me. The staff stays behind my arm, and now I'm ready again to launch the staff from the other direction. Same thing. And this is a cool drill that you can do in a line. You can do it standing in one place. But I think what's nice about it is it starts to engage your whole body into practicing this technique and get us used to moving around and using our space instead of just staying in one spot and drilling. And it's, of course, refining both directions of this move. Some of the advanced variations we talked about doing an elbow, and that's just with that same folded arm. Something that is helpful is pointing the elbow up a little bit if it seems to be drooping down. Make sure you're doing that anyway for your conveyor belt. That if your elbow is not pointing forward and it's nice and level right here, you're at least pointing it upward. That'll contain the staff, because oftentimes people tend to just droop their arm down, and that's going to cause some problems. So again, check in on your position, make sure it's nice and flat, or point it up a little bit. It'll definitely secure the staff for that rollover. For the elbow, we go elbow. That second elbow scoops underneath it. Again, we want to get our extremities underneath the center point. That is always our point of contact. So elbow, we scoop under. And you can just let it fall off that elbow and then practice from the other side. Elbow, right? A little dip. Dipping under to the other side. You can keep going. Elbow, hand, elbow, hand, and then again you can do it on the other side. Some people like to be able to go right into like the elbow. The tricky thing with that is you got to give a little bit of the pop to the staff. So when we're doing our elbows, if you want to just keep going, you want to give a nice little jump to the staff off the second elbow. So something to practice would be getting that lift first, right, and maintaining that position in the elbow, that bend, so that when you feel comfortable with that bop, you can then bring that first elbow underneath the center point and continue your elbow. That's something to practice as well, is that elbow, pop, elbow, pop, elbow, pop, so that you can keep going. We can also do that elbow pop on one arm. And if I have it in my right hand, I'm going to go over my left hand because it looks better on this side. I'm going to go elbow, and I'm going to throw it in the air. Again, trying to get it right in front of me here. Not too high, not too low, but high enough so that I can maintain this folded arm underneath the center point. And as you can see, it undulates a little bit. So I kind of really keep that arm undulating, moving, so that it's catching the staff without bouncing it off my arm. But that undulation is throwing it in the air a little softer than just a bounce, right? We don't want that bounce. We want that soft undulation to throw that staff without hurting you. Another conveyor belt variation that we did was the Russian conveyor belt. And something that helps me do that is first to do a hand wrap, right? So a hand wrap is when my palm is face down, never turning the palm up. I make sure the center point is visible because it's going to wrap on top of my hand. And you can wait for the staff to fall into your hand on the other side. In this case, we wrap over the hand, we get in that conveyor belt position, and I bring my arm over my elbow, and that's when I enter that Russian. I want to get my arm over right here so the staff center is going to land on my hand, on the top of my hand, and then I'll take it out. Over, okay? It's very subtle, but it looks really cool. Practice those in both directions as well. When we stopped talking about conveyor belts, we played with the idea of the staff and all of these different points, these little balances on our body. So this will help us gain a little bit of sensitivity to the center point, and I think that's really important because the center point is oftentimes our point of contact. And if we know that we're not, if the center point is not quite where we want it, as long as we get our body underneath the staff, underneath the center point, we can make really cool things happen out of our mistakes or out of errors. So this is a nice little practice in your own time that you can put some good music on and play with. Right now I have the center point nice and balanced between my neck and my shoulder. If you're having a hard time doing that, you can always bring your arm up and kind of lock the staff in. We just want to get used to moving around on both sides, stopping, making sure the staff doesn't fall off and moving in the other direction, right? And gaining sensitivity to the center point. And from here, we can move on to our next point. We drop our shoulder, it'll go into our elbow, okay? It's just about getting that center point right in these little spots, these little divots that we can create on our body. I'm playing with this, I'm getting used to this on both sides, okay? And you know, when you take this slow, you'll find really nice creative little ways to switch it up a little, how to move and change plane, change direction. Just doing little simple things that will, I think, promote a lot of like organic contact to happen. We also have the top of our wrist, right? This will help prep us for fishtails quite a bit. I have my hand nice and flexed because if not, then the staff will just roll off my hand. And again, just moving. Maybe changing levels a little bit. Testing myself out, testing my balance out, testing my ability to adjust to the center point, right? This is going to be a really, I think, helpful practice for all of you. So we have our neck shoulder point, our elbow point, our hand. You can play with your hip, right? And you can experiment with having the center point on the outside or on the inside, moving it from hip to hip, or moving it over the back of your body. It's good to get ourselves used to the fact that contact can happen below the waist. We should start utilizing that, or at least getting ourselves accustomed to that. And then, of course, the foot. More balance work. I felt so good after the class the other night, so I want to thank all of you for being there. I'm excited to see most of you come back next week. If you have any questions or ever need to get in touch with me, you know, you can always send me an email or message me on Facebook because I'm available for you and to help you out with anything that you need in your practice for the week. Just communicate with me, and if you just dropped in, let me know if you're coming back. And if not, I'll see you, and I'm super psyched for the next 5 weeks. Have a great weekend. Happy practicing.